here is where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Poleski dives onto the right side, very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Poleski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Nuno Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernot. Gernot will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
Following 2 races held on courses that every road racing Grand Prix driver knows at Silverstone and Interlagos, the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship heads to a Roval. No, not the one in Charlotte that has been testing drivers over in NASCAR, but here at Pocono. Will things be just as chaotic? Find out with us right here, right now on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Richie Hearn. Behind the scenes we have our director Amjad Yamin, and he is using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. Now Richie, as a former real-world IndyCar driver, I know we ask you a lot of the time if you've ever had the pleasure of driving on a particular course during your IndyCar career. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. The answer is no, not even in the virtual world. But let me give you some insight onto this track that we're going to run on. It's going to be very interesting. One thing you'll notice is we are running the wrong way on the oval section, so we're running clockwise. The track on the infield road course is very bumpy, very narrow. Judging the braking zones are going to be very tricky as there's no real braking markers to kind of pinpoint. There are 2 long straights, though, as we get back onto the oval section, interrupted by a second gear hairpin there. And so we should see some passing, but it should be interesting to see how people fare on the road course. The best way to get a view of this, though, is let's jump on board our GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Stefan Slacker in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Pocono. The rundown into turn 1 might offer a chance to pass due to the draft, but the corner itself is a frighteningly fast double apex sweeper. The Armco also makes the entry very blind. It'll immediately become apparent how different the oval is from the road course because it's narrow and bumpy through here. Turns 2 and 3 will slow you down even more, so expect the racing to be relatively single file in this section. Because the car doesn't like slow corners and has such immense power, drivers who are able to feel out the grip while on the throttle will probably be the fastest. From turn 4, you're led quickly into 5, which is one of the more critical corners on the track. It's very sharp, but it leads back onto the oval, where you'll take Indianapolis in reverse. The speeds the car gets up to is what makes this part so important. Drafting and a good run will be decisive in this race. Jumping ahead to the braking for the chicane, once again the track will narrow up. So while it's enticing to outbrake someone, it'll be easy to get tangled up with them when things get tight. This then takes you into Trenton, which again requires no brakes and no lifting the whole way around. The pit straight will obviously offer more chances to slipstream past someone, but hopefully if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Pocono.
Well, that's what a lap around this Roval is like. Let's do a lap around the championship standings. Not just driver, but team as well. Very early on in the season, we've only completed 2 rounds so far, so even though these drivers will have 4 drop weeks to count by the end of the year, Obviously, right now you're seeing the points without any drop weeks accounted for, and it's Moreira currently at the top of the standings. However, he's told us that he wouldn't run the full season, and sure enough, no sign of him here today. Vandenberg sitting there second in the standings. Actually, he's also not here. Let's see, is anyone here at all? Yes, Adam Frazier, the American, climbing up third into the points. He is here in the number 5 car he is racing in today. Fernandez and Suarez rounding out the top 5 in the points. No signs of him either, so it looks like Frazier has a chance to do well in the points today. Let's have a look at the Team Championship as well. This is called the Classic Team Championship because when the drivers aren't racing into walls like we saw one do just there, these cars are painted up and they look beautiful. They're based on the 1981 Formula 1 teams, with a Creep Talbot Gitans currently leading the standings ahead of a Parmalee Racing team 10 markers behind them. In fact, Parmalee Racing team moving up a couple of positions there. You see Williams down to 3rd, the Creep Renault Elf team back down there, the 4th place, and then Lotus rounding out the top 5. So even though these are all Lotus 79 cars, Richie, they all look different out there, and that's always a fun part of covering this series.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that team championship is tight, so it's something to watch for as these guys try to get that championship done. But yeah, they do look beautiful out there. It's a really awesome car to drive as well, but they do a good job getting those paint jobs up.
So as we mentioned, Richie, this is the 3rd of 12 races in the season. Let's take a look at our series details.
Yeah, we are here round 3 of 12. We do have 4 driver drops and 2 team drops, so the points will change a little bit as we get going. This is going to be 31 laps. It's going to go pretty quickly. Setups are open. They don't have to do any pit stops. The tires will last, and they have enough fuel. We're working on our normal standard incident cap of 17x. Now, with this track being so narrow, this might come into a little bit of play for some of the guys in the middle of the field, and we do use that official iRacing point system.
So cars currently working qualifying. You see at the top of the standings right there is Sergio Macias, who hasn't actually been able to pick up a win yet this season, at least not here on GSRC's broadcasts. He is our provisional pole sitter though in the number 1 car right now. And looks like he's still working his 2nd qualifying lap. So let's see if he can increase his gap over Juha Noralumpki, who provisionally sits 2nd on the grid, Noralumpki rather. And he has won the opening 2 races of the season that we broadcast here on the GSRC in the Classic Team Championship.
And you can see we're running 1:18-minute laps, so race is going to go pretty quickly. Got about 3 minutes left, a little less, maybe about 2 minutes left in qualifying. We have 21 cars so far have put a lap time in.
Just a couple minutes left. So, have you had the chance to run any test laps around here, Richie?
No, I have not. So it's going to be interesting for me to watch this as well. So I don't have any virtual experience or real world experience. So one person I don't see out there is Suarez. He's usually here every week, but he's not here today, it looks like.
Yeah, we'll have a chance in a moment to read out the full grid to you before we get racing here. And it'll be very interesting watching them all from a standing start on this very, very wide front straight here, Richie, funnel off into a very narrow turn number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. That whole section there from turn 1 all the way through till we get back onto the back stretch of the oval is all really narrow. And I noticed too that, you drop a wheel and you're going to go a long ways off the track because it's just all grass. So maybe not hit anything, but you're going to lose a lot of positions.
Looking at Rodney Evans in an STP paint scheme out there on his number 26 car. That's right, number 26 in an official iRacing Series race. Guess what? There's 2 more. We actually have 28 cars racing in a single split. So if this track wasn't tricky enough, you got 27 competitors to deal with out there.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I would think that this was one of the races that people would drop, but I think the curiosity has got the best of all these guys, and they're all going to jump in and try to do the best they can. There's a lot of names on here we don't see a lot of. So, yeah, it should be very interesting, and especially if the leaders are coming around. There's a big time gap between first and the last time the lap showing right now. It's almost 7 seconds, so I think lap traffic's going to really be play a part.
Especially also considering those short lap times you were just talking about, Richie. I mean, boy, if you're 5 seconds a lap off the pace, you're going to go down in a hurry here.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that's good about this track, although we're kind of, teasing it a little bit, how tricky it is on the road course. I mean, the straightaways are 5 cars wide, so there'll be plenty of places to get a draft and a pass. So it should be pretty exciting.
All right, cars already getting gridded up. Qualifying is over. Sergio Marchias is your pole sitter ahead of Juha Nurmela. 2 names we're quite familiar with, as well as the names behind them, Lai Hughes and Adam Fraser. Derek Ruleveld back in 5th place. All right, now we really get into the new names. Peter Koniski. Ove Trandre, we're familiar with him, ahead of Justin Ulbrich. Martin Blaze and Charles-Eric Lemelin rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, starting up in row 6 is going to be Kevin Kolsch. Right next to him will be Ollie Prenton. Next up be Glenn Corrigan and Robert Simpkins. After that, the row behind them in 15th spot will be Steve Sarlis and John Schilling. Starting in 17th will be Luke King, and 18th will be Dennis Tigaschlar. And 19th will be Randy Hugh and Duncan McClellan.
Dave Cohen may have been the slowest qualifying 21st, but he has the best paint scheme on the grid, I'll tell you that right now. Paul Nelson starting 22nd, ahead of Marco Sanfilippo in 23rd. Fabio Guerrero back in 24th place, behind him Kiba Botaro Mora, Mark Matern, Rodney Evans and Russell Hamilton rounding out our 28-car field here today. Sergio Marcias is gridded up on the pole sitter. He's on the inside line in the red car. And there you have a look at that fancy paint scheme back there. I think that's Dave Cohen in 21st place. And Juha Nurmela will be starting in on the outside. A look at our front row getting gridded up. I see pretty much all of the cars there on the start-finish straight, with 10 seconds left to see if we'll see Paul Nelson take to the grid. I think he's the only car we're waiting on. No, he's on the grid right now. Here we go. All 28 cars electing to charge into the first turn with a good old-fashioned start here at Pocono. And the lights are off and away they go. A nice launch by Macias, but Juha quicker up through the gears. He might have the lead before they get to the first corner. They're side by side, wheel to wheel.
Yeah, Euro just tried to muscle his way around the outside, but it really narrowed up for him, so he had to give the position back to Sergio. Looks like a pretty clean start by everybody. Got one guy off in the grass there, trying to shortcut the track a little bit, so we'll get a hold on who that is. But so far up front, it's very clean.
Looks like Ollie Prenton, who had the big off. I saw a few drivers putting a couple wheels off, but Prenton was one having a bit of a slide through the grass. Fortunately, able to continue. And now as they come back onto the oval and work their way through what in NASCAR world is called the tunnel turn, Sergio Marcias still just holding onto the lead ahead of Nurmela. They've actually been able to break away from Lai Hughes through the sequence of second gear hairpins.
And here they come right through that chicane there. Nurmela hanging right on the back of Sergio Marcias. I already saw him weaving back and forth, try to break that draft. I'm pretty sure these guys are going to be running almost no wing to try to take advantage of those long straightaways. But so far, so good as far as a clean start. Oh, Sergio goes off out of the oval of turn 1, and now he's getting back onto the track. He's going to lose a lot of positions, but mistake right away.
That is not a turn I would have jotted down as a trouble turn on this circuit, Richie, but it's dropped him all the way back to 5th place.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're shifting right there. If you're shifting up to 5th gear, you might have missed that shift. But yeah, there he goes through the grass. Now it's pushed him all the way down to 5th spot. So Nurmela is going to inherit that lead with Little Hughes right behind him.
So
I was going to say Nurmela's got a half a second lead already on Little Hughes. So the battle right here is going to be basically Adam Fraser, Derek Rosenfeld and Sergio Massa's trying to get back up to the front, and these guys are nose to tail coming back onto the oval.
And the driver who had just been running behind Macias in 6th place, Peter Koniski, he just had an off, and that drops him back to 9th position. So Nora Lumpy leads ahead of Hughes, Fraser, Roeleveld.
They go through that tricky... we got a little contact going through that chicane, that tricky triangle chicane, if you want to call it that, but everybody keeps going. But that is definitely tight. It's hard to get through there. We got one car off the track as well. It's Dennis Tigschler. And here's the replay. Yep, just loses it under braking, spins out, doesn't hit anything, able to make that U-turn and get back going.
I've seen a few drivers run into early trouble. In fact, Peter is off again. A couple of drivers overshoot in turn 1 this lap. Peter Koniski and another driver following him through the tundra there. That was Kolsch.
Yeah, Kolsch is mowing the lawn into the fence back there, so we'll get a little replay of that. You can see how narrow it is when they get... Oh, there he goes, just off, and here comes the fence. And I don't think that car is supposed to be off-roading like that, so... he might have some damage.
Oh, Kolsch got the wall there as it looked like he actually went over into the fence, and then sure enough, he's retired from the race.
Meanwhile, Nora Lampe's kind of checking out a little bit. He's already got a healthy 1.6 seconds lead on second place. Little Who's got a battle with him, behind him with Adam Fraser. Little separation back to Sergio Macias, who's trying to make up. He's got a little damage on the front wing. I don't know if that's going to hurt him in the straight line, but I'm sure he's not happy with himself for making that mistake on the easy section of the track.
Well, Nora Lumpke has been able to consistently click off 119.1s. Sergio Macias the last time around the 120.1s. He might be getting held up a little bit as he's trying to navigate his way back up through the field, or maybe he's just playing it a bit careful.
Yeah, Sergio definitely made this easy for Nora Lampe by making that small mistake, and now Nora Lampe, he's kind of a master at this. Just kind of get his head down, don't make the big mistake, and just check out.
Well, Nora Lampe has won the opening 2 rounds of the season at Silverstone and Interlagos. He told us he told the whole forum at the start of the season, hey, I'm not going to be here to run this full championship. I'm not going to be able to commit to it. And we've been asking him in the broadcast booth, well, you're starting to have second thoughts. I mean, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, he probably saw himself win those 2 races and decided, I better just stick with this, see how I can do. Everybody's spread out. Top 10's pretty spread out right now. Probably the best battle is probably for 10th, 11th, and 12th between Robert Simpkins, Peter Koniski, and Steve Sarlis. They're all kind of stacked up as they get themselves back up into turn 1 of the oval section of Pocono. Yeah, not much. Yeah, go ahead.
Dave Cohen has just had an off in the yellow, blue, purple, red, and orange car, adding a bit of green grass to it now. Oh, no, it has green on it too.
Yeah, not much going on at the moment. Everybody's separated out. I think we're going to probably get pretty excited when we get to lap cars, because there's not much passing going on into. So if you catch lap car going into that infield section, you're going to have to wait, and that's going to stack everybody up behind them.
A good battle on screen going on here as we keep up with these drivers running a little bit off the pace. But you talk about lap traffic, Richie, and the drivers maybe not performing too hot right now. We don't have a whole lot of cars off the pace. I mean, we've seen a lot of drivers take to the grass, but they've been able to escape relatively unscathed. Only Ollie Prenton and Kevin Kolsch I'm seeing out of the race, or at least off of the lead lap. So that means we still have 26 cars out there circling, battling for positions.
Yeah, we've already had one car go a lap down. That was Luke King, and he was kind of holding up the field and kind of stacked everybody up. But here we have on screen here, we have the battle for 17th, 18th, and 19th. These guys are getting hot and heavy as they make their way back onto the oval. The race is going by pretty quickly. We're already working lap 6.
No. Yeah, I have a feeling, Richie, as you were mentioning at the top of the show, a lot of names that we're not familiar with in this race. I think a lot of people, you know, this Roval has... Oh, sorry, Paul Nelson has gone full spin here.
This right here almost runs into the back of Russell Hamilton, Dennis, but does clear him and doesn't get a contact, but missed that braking zone.
We'll get a replay of Nelson's spin here. But the reason I bring up a point you made earlier, Richie, is because I think we're going to see a lot of drivers giving each other a bit of space early on in the race when they are battling, because a lot of these drivers haven't raced each other before. You know, it might have some new names here, and drivers aren't familiar. Is this guy aggressive? Does he make mistakes? How close can I race these people around me?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of these people have never seen each other, so yeah, you're absolutely right. In that replay, you can see how Nelson just dropped a wheel. It's so narrow, it got on the grass and kind of setting him into the wall. He's got some damage now, but he is continuing on. This is a good battle for 12th right here between Peter Kaminsky and Steve Sarlis. Steve Sarlis in that draft right now. But the braking zone is so hard to judge because it's so wide entering and there's just no markers. So it's going to be hard to be consistent in those sections.
With Peter having these errors, he is actually the only driver who qualified in the top 10 who is currently running outside the top 10. And of course you ask, well, surely that means there's one driver who started outside the top 10 who's now in the top 10. Indeed there is. That's Robert Simpkins. He started 14th, so he's up to 10th. If you think that's impressive, though, take a look at the guy in 11th, Fabio Guerrero. He didn't turn a lap in qualifying. He started all the way back in 24th and he's in 11th.
Yeah, I don't know if that was by design or maybe he just had some incidents in qualifying, didn't get a time in. But yeah, absolutely, he's 24th to 11th. He does have Peter Kaminsky right behind him trying to challenge for that position, but doing a great job. That's a cool paint job he's got too.
Couple cars in the pits, must have been involved in something. We got Mura in the 21 and Schilling in the 22. They have been running 20th and 21st, so my guess is there was contact between those two drivers.
Meanwhile, up front, Norlampi is 5.6 seconds ahead of Adam Fraser, so not much of a battle going on for the lead, but Hughes, Fraser, and Macias are all pretty close to each other within a couple of seconds, so that battle for second place, I'm sure Fraser's, once again, feels he deserves to be up in the front after that mistake, but the passing's a little trickier than I thought it was going to be. I don't know, it's because everybody's running low downforce. The draft is not quite as strong, but not much movement going on.
That's Ollie Prenton you see crabbing down on the bottom of the track here, but we're going to go back to a battle here. Actually, we're about to go to a replay. Peter Kaminsky has had more trouble.
Yeah, he was right behind Fabio Guerrero for that position, and then just self-spin. Just, you know, doesn't hit anything, but does lose some positions.
Also, he's got to be a little bit careful about his incident count, I'm sure. I mean, that's the third spin we've seen him have today. Oh, someone's blown an engine. I know there's been one car crapping on the bottom of the track there. That's Ollie Prenton, who's multiple laps down. But we're hearing there might be more trouble out on the racetrack.
Well, these things do have an H-pattern gearbox, and with these second gear corners that they have to go to, it's really easy if you don't downshift properly. You can blow that engine.
Not second gear corners, Richie. Second gear hairpins.
Copy that.
Oh, and Paul Nelson almost just replicated what Sergio Macias did on the opening lap of a race coming out of a final turn, and that's going to open him up to a three-way battle. A lot of pressure from behind, and out wide, in fact, goes the 23 of Demis Tiktrela, and he's not going to quite be able to save it.
No, he tried to make that pass and had a car on the inside of him. I think that was Nelson, and just got, like, you see how narrow it is, and here's the replay. And you can see how wide we are. We're like 8 cars wide, And then we come into this section coming up, and it just really narrows down to about one car. I love that Danny Sullivan paint job on Nelson's car, but here he comes, just a little bit wide, wheels off, see you later. Now he's just motoring through the dirt, doing some lawn riding, and hard to get going again. Meanwhile, we got a battle up front here. Sergio Macias is trying very hard to get by Adam Fraser. Sergio's dropping wheels left and right, trying to stay with him, but it's really important to get off this section right here. Here's your section. Ooh, Fraser really having struggle getting that power down. He's going to lose a lot of speed, so we'll see if Sergio can cap on that as they come down to this second gear chicane. Second gear hairpin.
Fraser let him by there down the straightaway. Got woed up. I guess he saw Macias coming. Fraser looking for his second top 5 finish of the season.
Yeah, I think he just kind of realized he was a little bit of a tailspin there as far as keeping the car going, so it's just better off letting him go. He's coming back, though, on him as they come down that front stretch. Lifts off a little bit, trying to get into this narrow section of turn 1. But Sergio's on a move, and right now he's got Little Hughes in front of him. He's got a little bit of a gap to make up, but he did qualify on pole, so he should have the pace to catch him.
But now we enter something you noted a bit earlier, Richie, and that's our lap traffic. Rodney Evans in the number 26 machine. Quiet race, but a little bit off the pace back there in 23rd place. Has gone a lap down, and there's only more to come for our leaders.
Yeah, this is where you mentioned before, I'm sure Norlampi, a lot of these guys he hasn't raced with, so as he comes around to lap them, he's probably going to be a little bit more careful than he normally is.
And that's Ollie Brenton, still with a crabbing car. He's just trying to stay out of the way of everyone. He's just parked it at the start of the chicane there, waiting for a gap. The problem is, with a lot of cars on a fairly, short racetrack, there's not a whole lot of gaps out there for him to filter into.
No, that thing's not driving straight. I would probably just come in and just end it.
Oh, big contact entering turn 1 with Tchekla and Matern. They were side by side going into turn 1. Well, normally in these situations, we've seen one driver yield for the others. That wasn't the case this time, and it ended poorly.
That was a big hit by Tickler, and he's had a few incidents already. You see the damage on the front of his car, so those incident points are going to rack up as well. But you see, you don't even see him to the right, and then all of a sudden there he is, and up almost over on his lid.
Now that was all happening right in front of the leaders, and as you mentioned, after multiple incidents, it looks like Demis might be calling it a day.
Norlampi's opened up his gap now to 7.7 seconds to Adam Fraser, so he's just doing his thing. No battle from behind. Little Hughes is kind of doing his thing as well. He's kind of solo right now in second.
Oh no! Derek rule evade collects a lapped car. He'd been having such a good race in 5th place. That was Mark Matern trying to get back to the pits for the damage, makes a mistake, and the 12 of Derek had nowhere to go.
Yeah, he just got on the gas and Derek had nowhere to go. That was just a racing incident. Just tank slap back the other way right in front of him. So here's on board, catches up to him, and here he goes, floors it, a little loose, correct, and there he goes. That's too bad.
And that moves Ove Trandre up into 5th position. Ove, boy, he's had a lot of success recently, at least on GSRC broadcasts in crazy races where they put open wheel cars on racetracks you wouldn't expect them to be on.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. Started 7th, just stay out of the way of everybody and let them kind of fall in front of him. So he's doing a good job. He is kind of a lonely 5th at the moment. that battle between Sergio and Fraser has not stopped. That's probably
sorry, we got one car upside down. Marco Sanfilippo, Dave Cohen had spun in that final chicane, and Marco tried to sneak on by, wasn't quite able to clear him.
Oh, there he goes over on his lid. Yep. And there's no coming back from that. So a lot of just kind of innocent mistakes happening. I don't think anything really, terrible. Just kind of happening with this tricky track. Ooh, we got Adam Fraser trying to make a move on Sergio Macias into turn 1. And he's off on the grass and continues on, but he's definitely lost that battle.
Yeah, well, Macias has actually run down Hughes now. This was a 3-way battle, and Fraser, well, now it's back down to a 2-way battle. So Hughes has actually picked up a bit of damage. We've seen how chaotic it's been trying to get by some of these lap cars. Hasn't been without incident for the driver of that number 3 machine.
Yeah, Little's got a lot of damage on the front of that car, so he had quite a whack with somebody. So he's kind of only in that second spot, but he's got to be careful as they go through these lap cars because Sergio's closing in on him. And here we go. Sergio's right on the back of him. Going to try to make that move as they go through that chicane on the backstretch. And this race is flying by as we're almost halfway already. A lot of action in the middle of the field, just getting off the track, catching other people out. Meanwhile, Noah Lampe's just kind of going through the field as carefully as he can. He does have 9 seconds on Fraser at the moment, or sorry, on Little Hughes.
Battle brewing for 6th and 7th positions. 2 drivers who've kind of flown under the radar early on, but given how drivers have gotten on the broadcast so far, I have a feeling they'll enjoy the fact they've had a clean race, and those are Martin Blaze and Justin Albrecht running in 6th and 7th position. And now they got the lap traffic to deal with there of Cohen. And for those who missed last week's broadcast, we always called Martin Blaze the Spider-Man paint scheme out there. That's not what it is. It's actually the livery that Jacques Villeneuve, not 1997 Formula 1 World Champion Jacques Villeneuve, but his uncle who shared the same name, Jacques Villeneuve won his lone kart series race, got his only kart series race victory in 1985 at Road America with that paint scheme.
And I don't know if we can go up to that battle for second place, but Sergio is all over the back of Little Hughes. Little's got that damage, and I think it's really hurting him in a straight line because Sergio's able to get right up to the back of him. Not quite close enough to make a move, but we got some lap traffic getting in the way. But here we come into this infield section, and Sergio's hunting down that second spot.
And you see there Ollie Prenton coming. Oh, and contact behind them between Adam Fraser trying to lap Russell Hamilton. Fraser got a bit of front wing damage. Yeah, see Russell Hamilton go sliding through the grass after that. But they were both trying to get around Prenton there, and that's partly due to that pit exit leading right out pretty much onto the racing line in turn 1.
Yeah, I think some of these guys in the back, they're getting lapped, and they got a handful with their own car, so they're trying to do the best they can, but it's not always easy. If you're struggling with your car and people are coming by you, you're doing the best you can. Sometimes I think the leaders maybe just be a little more patient. But this battle right here, as we're watching on board with Little Hughes and Sergio Macias, they're coming up on another lap car. So we'll see how this plays out as they come through turn 1 on the oval, back onto that front stretch. Little Hughes getting into the draft of that lap car, pulls out. It's going to allow Sergio. He's going to be able to get by, I believe. Here he comes, going to brake. And you can see how narrow it gets with this camera shot. And then that track it's almost like a service road more than a racetrack. So it's very tough with these wide Lotus 79.
Yeah, I want to give a bit of a shout out to we saw that lap car was involved in that contact with Adam Fraser, Russell Hamilton. We've seen him a few times in the Classic Team Championship. He's no stranger. However, His I rating is a bit on the lower end. He enters as a number 28 car in this field, so he started dead last after not turning in qualifying time. But despite that contact with Frazier, he's had a rather clean race and currently finds himself in 16th.
Yeah, he's going to gain some I rating and some points out of this, having that 28 car, so he's just got to stay clean. And, yeah, he's in 16th spot and just try to finish the race out.
Just 14 cars remaining on the lead lap. Last of those, Randy Hoff right now in the number 19 machine.
Still not much going on up front. Sergio's right behind Lero, but he's not quite close enough. He does gain on him into these braking zones, but he's just not quite close enough to make a pass. So he's just going to keep putting the heat on him. Maybe he can let have the lap traffic help him with that, but we'll keep an eye on that battle. Nora Lampe is way out in front, 8.5 seconds over Little Hughes. He's just taking his time getting through traffic, still running in those mid to low 119, so he's doing a good job there. There you go. There's Sergio Massa. See a little bit of understeer going through these corners. He's right on the back of Lero. Going to try to get a run on him right here, coming onto that back stretch. And you know, this is a good spot. If you can get right up under his wing, maybe outbrake him into that that tight little chicane here coming on up. Doesn't look like he's close enough yet. Really tricky braking zone. Oh, he goes a little bit wide. He's going to lose a lot of speed coming off this corner. And once again, he's just not going to be close enough to make a pass. He'll have to just try him again next lap.
As we approach the last 10 laps of a race, now I know for all intents and purposes the number 12 car of Derek Roulevold deserves to be out there in the top 5. He got unlucky with a lap car spinning. But it's interesting to note that even on such a chaotic track, the creamers rise to the top. The cars in positions 1 through 7 all have the 1st through 7th highest I ratings. Granted, they're not in that order. They're number 2, 3, 1, 5, 7, 6, 4, 6, 7 out there on track. But still, no matter what you throw at these guys, Richie, the fast drivers will always find their way to... always find a way to keep it clean and put on a good show for us up front.
Yeah, and they don't get those numbers by accident, so they've earned that that right to be that number 3, 1, whatever you want to be. So yeah, right. The cream always rises to the top. I think the more you're familiar with this car and on a tricky track like this, the better you're going to be.
For the record, the driver running in 8th place is Charles Eric Lemelin in the 14th. Richie.
I was just going to say this battle is still heating up, moving over to Charles Eric Lemon in that Giton car. Back to the battle for 2nd and 3rd. Sergio's be able to close back up on him. Now he's close enough, I think. We're going to maybe see a move going into turn 1. He's been really good on the brakes here. So we'll see if he dives down and tries to make a lunge for it. Nope, not going to do it. He's going to try to go around the outside maybe. That's not probably the best way to do it, but he's definitely putting the pressure on Lero right at the moment.
And they were both faster than Juha Nora Lampe last lap. I have a feeling Nora Lampe may have been held up by the lap car of Randy Hoff, but it allowed them to gain a second.
Yeah, that was the fastest lap of the race there by Sergio Macias, aided by that draft, and he is all over the back. He's just got to try to time this a little bit better than the last time, and he's close enough now if he can get a good drive onto this back stretch here as they go through the oval, or turn 2, the tunnel turn there. Lost a little bit on the drive off the corner. Probably the next section is probably going to be the best area to make a pass as they go by a lap car. He's got to do a little bit better job than he did last time. Oh, he's getting a really good run off that corner, so we might see a move for 2nd place coming up as we go into turn 1.
Macias has definitely been right on the gearbox of Hughes. Eventually he's got to find a way to pull this off, because this is really his best overtaking opportunity on this circuit. He's just, for whatever reason, not able to get good runs out of a chicane, or at least good enough to use the slipstream and make the move stick.
I thought we'd see more passing down the straightaways, but like I said, I think everybody's running like minimum downforce, so there's not much to be gained. It's a little. It's too bad that he spun out on that first lap because he didn't qualify on the pole, and I think he would have had something for Nora Lampe up in front. But he's definitely trying to get back, at least get that second place. Yeah, meanwhile, Nora Lampe's up there just doing his thing. He is a little bit slower that last lap, but I think he's going through lap traffic. He knows he has a huge gap, so there's no reason to take any unnecessary risks at the moment.
"13 cars left on the lead lap. And passed for 12th place here. The last two on the lead lap. Fabio Guerrero just got by Steve Salis. Don't think we've seen a lot of Salis this season. Nice to have him back out there.
Yeah, Fabio's doing a good job. Started 24th, still hanging in that top 12 position. Nice move around Steve Salis. Back to that battle up front. Here we are going into turn one once again. Not quite close enough. I have a feeling that at some point Sergio is going to make a move. He's not going to sit there for the last 10 laps and just hang out, because they do have. Oh no, that's a lap car. Sorry, I thought they were. I thought Fraser was catching up, but no, that was a lap car. They went around.
Yeah, Fraser about 5 seconds back of these guys. Oh, Nora Lampe just had a close call with lap traffic out of the chicane of Dave Cohen. Fortunately, they kept it off of each other and they continue, but a little bit scary.
Yeah, it's just, once again, like you mentioned early on, these are people he probably does not know, and they don't know him either. Ooh, that was really close. You can see the understeer that that lap car had, and almost got into the side pod of Nora Lampe. That would have ruined his day for sure. Meanwhile, up front, Sergio and Lyril Hughes have caught up to a lap car in a very bad spot, and it's kind of checked everybody up as they come through that tunnel turn, or turn one, sorry, of the oval. Get another run down the straightaway. You might see a move. I keep saying that, but I believe he's going to do it at some point. It's just not quite close enough. I mean, it's going to really have to be a dive bomb to make it from that far back. And yeah, I think Sergio's probably hoping that maybe Lyril makes a mistake. Hughes has been really good, been clean so far, and I'm sure he's feeling the pressure from Macias.
Watching now the back of Hughes as they work their way through these second gear hairpins and back out onto the banking. And of course, let's not forget also that this is a road configuration from the 2011 scan of Pocono Raceway, as Hughes goes a bit defensive down in the chicane. So that means it's a little bit more bumpy than what Pocono is today. And that could be provided challenges for these drivers on the oval as well as the infield. Now the lap traffic there, allowing Macias to get the best round he's had so far, Richie.
Yeah, I think this is going to be his best chance. Here he goes. He's going to the inside. He's got the position. Just got to be able to get that braking done on the outside. Hughes has really no chance to stay out there as the track really narrows up. And that was a good job. Back to second place for Macias. And no chance on catching Nora Lampe unless there's a mistake, but good job recovering from that first lap spin. And going off what you said, yeah, they did repave this track in real life, so I know the road course section is a lot smoother, a little bit wider, and maybe we'll get that rescan soon.
Oh, you say Macias has no chance of catching Juha. However, let's not forget it was only a couple of laps that Lampe was almost out of this race.
Yeah, basically, unless something happens with the lap car, I think pace-wise, Nora Lampe has it over everybody else. But we'll see what happens. We only have 8 laps to go, so it's going to go by pretty quick. But Nora Lampe definitely still has to negotiate lap traffic as he's gone all the way through the field. He's lapped up to 14th up position. So he's moving along right here.
Yeah, and the two drivers battling for 12th and 13th, the last two on the lead lap, are not too far away from each other. That might make things a little bit tougher from Juha, knowing that he's got 2 cars battling for position in front of him.
Yeah, he's catching up to him really at the wrong spot. So just got to be patient. And this guy's going to let him by, so that's good. Just stayed out of the way, so no drama there.
Salis raced for Ferrari last season, that finished 2nd in the Classic Team Championship. This year round racing for Lotus, teammates with John Stevens, who's not here today.
It's been not a lot of action as far as pure passing goes, except for that 2nd spot, but it's been pretty exciting. A lot of people getting off the track. I'd be curious. I wish I could see their incident points, see who's close to being disqualified or not, because there's been a lot of them been adding up.
Yeah, we have had several DNFs from this race. I see, in fact, 21st on back are 7 laps down or more. A couple of those still out on track trying to log laps with damage and pick off positions. But this race certainly has had its fair share of attrition. And I really don't want to lay the commentator's curse on this guy, because every time I tell the director to put the camera on him, he ends up in trouble. But our last car on the lead lap right now is someone who's had a mostly clean race, and that's Glenn Corrigan out there in the number 8 machine. All right, we gave you a shout out. Let's take a camera off him and hope the best for Glenn for these final 6 laps.
And meanwhile, Sergio is kind of checked out a little bit from Hughes, so he's definitely the faster car, but his lap times, he's a little bit faster than Norlampi only because of the lap traffic, but with only 6 laps to go, unless something happens, this is probably going to be our finishing order as we're looking at it. There's my curse.
Yeah, it does seem, Richie, though, that with, I wouldn't say a third, maybe a quarter of a field dropping out now due to the attrition that we've seen here today. There's a lot less traffic out here. Everyone's found their rhythm, and things have calmed down for the most part around the circuit. And we didn't have a chance to take a look at the weather earlier, but boy, the conditions, they're confusing me a bit. I mean, look, it's a relatively cool day as far as iRacing goes, but the track, boy, it took in a lot of that heat from the sun.
Yeah, that is interesting. 74 degrees air, but 104 degrees track on a partly cloudy day, so that pavement definitely heated up. Not much wind there at 6 miles an hour, so these tires are good, though. It doesn't really affect these cars too much with these old bias ply tires.
Battle for 16th here. These guys running the lap down, but still battling for a mid-pack position nonetheless. I know we talked about Russell Hamilton earlier. I don't think Duncan McClellan has gotten any camera time at all today.
Yep, started 20th in the number 27 car up to 16th, so good day for him. And like I say, I don't know how much time some of these guys have in this car. I've driven it, and it is tricky to get used to, and then this is not an easy track as well, so nice job to some of these drivers.
I'm really curious to see when the race ends, Richie, and iRacing reveals all the stats to us, who our cleanest driver of a race is going to be. Has anyone out here accumulated 0 incident points?
Well, I've been watching Norlampi, and I haven't seen him drop a wheel yet, so it doesn't mean he hasn't. I haven't watched him the whole time, so my guess would be Norlampi. We know Sergio has spun out and gone through the grass, so it's not going to be him.
And that change for 16th has happened, so here we go. We get it on replay.
Right into turn 1, just takes the inside line, and very nicely done, and very clean.
Peter Koniski. I don't know what's happened, but he's retired from the race. He had been running in the top 10. He hadn't exactly had a clean race himself. Could this be a matter of him putting a wheel off and maybe abusing the incident limit? Yep, that's exactly what happened.
So meanwhile, that battle we were watching with Duncan McKellen and Russell Hamilton, but the leaders are going through them, and that's allowed Hughes to catch up a little bit up on Macias. And so this battle for second may not be over, but I think Macias has the pace.
Let's just explain real quick for our new viewers on what just happened to Peter Koniski. These drivers and official series racers, they have an incident point limit of 17. If you hit 17 incident points during the race, you will be disconnected from the server. You won't be able to race anymore. That's obviously what happened to Peter. So you probably ask, well, Samuel, how do you accumulate incident points? You get 1 each time you run off course, you get 2 each time you spin, and you get 4 each time you crash with another car or into the wall.
Yeah, it can add up fast. It's happened to me before. It's very disappointing to be driving along and all of a sudden you're gone. So there's no leeway. So if you start getting close to that 15, 16 point, you know it's coming. You got to really kind of take it easy, but it can't happen to the best of them.
What it does mean is it moves Glenn Corridron up into 10th place, which is good news for Glenn. The bad news for him is he goes a lap down. Juha Noralampi goes around. Just 9 cars left on the lead lap now out of 28 starters. I don't know if that's an indication of how chaotic this race has been, Richie, but it's also a bit of an indication of how well Juha has done. I mean, he's taken back the fastest lap of a race with a 118.9, and I don't think he's turned a lap over 119 all race long, except for if he's gotten held up by lap traffic.
He's got a ton of experience in this car, so he's just doing what he's doing and just running clean laps. Like I say at the end, I'd be curious to see if he has even one incident, because I haven't seen him make a mistake. And yeah, he's just doing what we've seen him do many times before. In this race,
Paul Nelson just had an off, and the problem is he rejoins the track ahead of Sergio Macias. If Sergio can't find a way by in the next couple of second gear hairpins, it's going to allow Hughes to close in on him.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part about lapping these guys in the section like that. But they get by him. Nelson lets him by, and you know, Sergio and Hughes still separated out by enough to where there's no chance to make a pass just yet.
And something I think a lot of drivers are looking forward to hearing their spotters say is about to happen, and that's that white flag is in the air as Noralampi comes out of a final turn and starts the final lap.
Yeah, come down that front straightaway as well for Macias and Hughes. Hughes is kind of getting right up behind him in the draft. You know, we might have a battle for second place if Macias trips himself up. Jump on board with Hughes at the moment. You can see how close he really is to Macias. So not really close enough to make a move, but he's close enough to be in his mirrors. If Macias drops a wheel at all, he's going to give up that position. So this is really the best battle on the track at the moment.
And you also just saw Hughes is definitely going for it because he just set the fastest lap of a race. Let's see if Noralampi can take it back on the final lap, as he doesn't really have any pressure from behind. He doesn't have a whole lot of lap traffic in front of him either, as he navigates his way out of the chicane. Just one turn left to go, although Macias showed us earlier what can happen if you get this wrong. If Noralampi can straighten his car out and on to the front straight, he is going to go 3 for 3 here to open the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship with another win at Pocono.
And here we come down for the second place finisher. Ooh, man, Hughes got a huge run on Macias, but not enough to make that work. So good job to both those guys. Ran clean, ran tough. I'm sure Macias is maybe a little bit disappointed. Here comes Adam Frazier in 4th spot. Had some instances on his own at the beginning, but nice finish. And Ove, nice job to him as well, coming around in 5th spot.
Yeah, the tail end of the top 10 really had a clean and quiet race out there. Didn't get a whole lot of broadcast time, but honestly, I think that's the way they probably wanted it.
And Martin finishes 6th, with Justin Albrecht finishing 7th. These guys didn't talk about them much, but they had some clean runs and just finished basically in the top 10, about where they started.
Alright, well that's going to wrap up most of the race in action, but we still have some post-race interviews as well as a full race rundown here on the GSRC. I'll be back in just a moment. Hello and welcome back to Pocono, where we just witnessed a rather chaotic race here, and but we'll tell you the three drivers it wasn't chaotic for. Lai Hughes, Charles-Eric Lemelin and Robert Simpkins crossed the finish line without scoring a single incident point. Yuan Noah Lumpy, our race winner, he did cross the finish line without a single incident point, but then did a 360 celebratory spin, which actually still counts against you, so he finishes the race with 2. But he also finishes the race with a victory, which I'm sure he's a bit more happier about. Sergio Macias comes home in second after an early mistake, and even he took to the chat after the race saying, "I'm not exactly sure what happened there." Behind him in third place, Lai Hughes, and then Adam Fraser and Ove Trantre round out our top 5. The number 6 and number 7 cars in those positions respectively, Martin Blaze and Justin Albrecht. Behind them, Charles-Eric Lemelin and Robert Simpkins, last car on the lead lap. And kudos to Clan Corrigan, because I don't recall last time we had a race where we put him on camera and he ended up finishing without a major incident. But today he was able to do that and brings it home in 10th place.
Yeah, coming home 11th is Fabio Guerrero. Great job, starting 24th. Didn't put a qualifying time in. Comes in 11th. Right behind him is Steve Sarlich. They had a nice battle with him as well. Randy Hugh, we didn't mention much. Started 19th, finished 13th. Behind him, Paul Nelson. Russell Hamilton finishing 15th. Duncan McClellan in 16th. Luke King in 17th, 2 laps down. Dave Cohen 18th. Randy Evans and Peter Koninsky, who did not finish the race, started 6th, but ends up 20th.
Yeah, we're only driving the whole race to abuse that incident point limit. Behind him, Demis Tigtrala down in 21st place. He ran into a few problems early on. Ollie Prenton, likewise, in 22nd. And then in 23rd, we got Derek Ruleveld, who had a nice run going in 5th place before he got involved in some drama with lap traffic. Marco Sanfilippo, if I recall correctly, he went for Philippe out there on the racetrack to finish 24th place. Mark Matern down there in 25th ahead of Kleber Botaro Mura in 26th and John Schilling in 27th. I believe those two were involved in an incident together. And Kevin Colchet, who went into the fence, he was the first driver out of the race. We got our race winner here to talk to us. So, apologies, let's bring Juha in. Juha Noralampi, you won by 10 seconds, and yet that's probably the most chaotic 10 seconds, and he wasn't ready to talk to us. Let's try this again. Let's try this again. Juha Noralampi, you won the race by 10 seconds, which normally means it was a fairly easy race, but with all the lap traffic out there, that was far from easy.
Yeah, it was a little confusing to race here. I don't think this car is very suitable for this kind of track at all, but well, yes, it was very much traffic there, and I just didn't know what to do when all the time lapped cars came ahead of me, and you never know what happens there. But luckily, I managed quite well and didn't crash, and well, I managed to go through, but nothing else to report.
Yeah, we saw you had a close moment out there, at least one anyway, with the lap car. Obviously, the way you got the lead was on the opening lap when Marcias had a big slide out of a final turn. Marcias took to the track after the race saying he wasn't really sure what happened there. Do you think you know what happened there? Was that a turn you jotted down as being a tricky one?
No, I haven't clue. It was very surprising to see that his car just spin there, and I don't know about that place, about that track, what is there, and I haven't experienced that kind of myself in my practices, so it was very odd, and I don't think that is a very good thing to happen to anyone, and I'm very sad about that, because Sergio would have been very hard to beat, and I think he was a little bit faster than myself this time. But I was lucky, as you said.
We go back to a regular Grand Prix track next week at Monza. What are your expectations for that race? You're going to come back and go 4 for 4?
I really don't very much like the Monza layout without the first chicane. It's all about top speed and trying to manage those corners, and well, there is a huge draft also, and I don't like that kind of tracks like this and the Monza, and well, let's see. Perhaps I won't race there next week at all, but miracles can happen.
All right, well, either way, we're thankful you came out today and put on the show for us. Richie, you got anything you'd like to ask Juha?
No, I like to say, nice job out there, Juha. I mean, you made it look easy, but we were talking that it's too bad Sergio did spin, because I think it would have been a great battle for the lead.
Yeah, thanks, Richie. It was so sad to see Sergio to spin, and I don't think that I would have places to overtake because he had a little bit more top speed, and with the tricky part, you can't go over any cars. I tried last race, but I ruined Sergio's and mine race. But yeah, thanks Richie, and bye bye.
All right, that was our race winner once again, Juha Noralampi. Well, one or two things will happen next weekend, Richie. Either we won't see Juha here, and we'll have a new winner this season, or we will see Juha here, and he'll have a chance to go 4 for 4 at Monza.
Yeah, I think he'll be here. He said he wasn't even going to run the season, and here he is 3 for 3. So if it was, I'm sure we'll see him out there.
All right, well, we hope to find out with you guys next Sunday at the same time here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Before that, we got some people we need to thank for putting this on in the first place, including all of the organisers and the competitors from the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship for choosing GSRC, coming here today and putting on a great show for us. We would also like to thank all of the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. You can see them there, all listed on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide us with our music. You can see their addresses there for how to get hold of more of their work. Thanks to the team today, Richie, Amjad and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at facebook.com/Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_gram. All of the upcoming series that are coming up a bit later this week on GSRC are coming up on screen right now. There you see them. Check us out, mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.